It's Time Warner Cable's local edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're joined by the mayor of beautiful Glendora. Her name is Karen Davis. And we think about 2016. We hope and pray this will be a better year. Economically, we can start with. And I want to take a look back. Do you have a sense that in Glendora, on the edge of LA County Inland Empire, that things have turned around?
I feel as though they have. It seems that there's a new interest in development. Of course, it was a hot topic of discussion in 2015
Right.
of what types of development and where. But there seems to be an interest both in the housing market and also in retail for new development, and it looks promising.
And let me ask you about housing. As you know, the Fed recently bumped up interest rates from 0 to 0.25. Not much of a bump. Do you have a sense if that has energized the housing market in this region or spooked potential buyers?
I think energized. I think that it's encouraged folks to look now, maybe anticipating, since the Fed said maybe there might be another little bump in interest later on, that they're thinking now is a good time to do that.
Right.
But just overall, there's been an interest over the last year or so, and especially in 2016 now, that folks are looking at new projects. And so I think that's very encouraging. In Glendora, we're looking at having a sports authority that's in the final stages of construction. Sprouts Market is taking over. Ralph's sadly closed their doors in November, but where in the past, a building like that might sit empty for a while. But right away, folks came in, bought that property, and signed a contract with Sprouts.
And let me
So
ask you
it's
then
exciting.
about jobs, because from the top of the recession, when national unemployment was 10%, we're now out of the recession purportedly, and national unemployment's at 5%. But yet some folks still feel as if the job market is soft. We have an underemployment issue. We have folks who have left the employment market, query whether they come back. What about here in the San Gabriel Valley, which again was kind of on the edge of the worst of the crisis with the Inland Empire down the road?
Well, I think it still is going to be a little tricky. You know, we see to the west of us, there's a lot of conversation about minimum wage.
Right.
And I think
LA City.
Right. And I think that hasn't really impacted us. So I think many of those jobs might be at the lower end, but yet they provide a lot of entry-level jobs and maybe also management jobs in that sense as well.
Is Glendora looking at a minimum wage increase?
No, it's pretty much been the thought process of both the chamber and other folks to oppose that and let people do that on an individual basis.
So what are your hopes and dreams for this year for Glendora and really kind of the San Gabriel Valley generally?
That we continue to work our way through whatever impacts El Nino may have in the spring. And
Glendora, of course, is at risk of mudslides. We've talked about that because of recent fires. Colby Fire, was it?
Yes.
And so that's always of concern.
Continue to work our way through the drought and seeing what the state requires of us, looking ahead. And then continue to build on the new development and make improvements to our infrastructure as a result of that.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about fears surrounding safety and terrorism. San Bernardino is not far from here, maybe 20, 30 miles. And so is that on top of mind, or are folks feeling vigilant but not paranoid?
I think a little bit of both. I think social media plays into that a little bit because folks will begin to read comments, see things, and it gets them a little spun up. But we're very fortunate. Our police department's very proactive. And in fact, in January, we'll be doing some training to help the public be a little bit more confident about that.